Hi, how are you? So in this video, we're going to take a little trip back in time. We're going to jump in the time machine and go back to the early 90s. And I'm going to share with you some images from my bedroom studio. So this was my actual home recording studio that I used way back when. And the two photos that I'm going to share with you, they're both from the exact same time period. Actually, they're both from the same week. One photo is from September the 11th, 1991, and the other is from the very next day, September the 12th, 1991. And you're going to get a look at basically my very crude but fun home studio setup and how things looked at that time. Now, I will mention too that both of these photos are showing a very primitive setup that I have actually on my bedroom floor. This was when I still lived at home with my parents, and in my little bedroom I had a very crude and basic setup on the bedroom floor, and that's what we are seeing in the photos. So I'll go through each photo and I'll describe to you all the pieces that I used in my home studio in as much detail as I can remember. And for each photo, I'm going to go in a clockwise direction. So I'm going to start in the top left corner and go in a clockwise direction and describe to you all the items that you can see in the photo. Okay, so here's the first photo of my bedroom studio from 35 years ago. So again, starting in the top left, what you see up there in the left-hand corner is basically a boombox. It's a portable stereo with the speakers removed. And basically I would use that to do my recording. So basically I would run everything into my mixer and then into the amplifier, which I'll get into in a few minutes. And then I would run that into the boombox, which would do the actual recording. I can't remember what brand that boombox was. I'm looking very closely at the photo. I can't really tell. That boombox was really interesting because you had the two detachable speakers on the left and right hand side, but there was also a really big woofer on the front bottom, and that's the only time I ever really remember seeing a portable stereo that looked like that. And it was a great little machine. I think I won it. I think it was a prize that I won one time, if I remember correctly, and I think I actually ended up selling it. Yeah, one of those times, you know, there's been many times over the years where I've had to part with certain items. Looking back now, I kind of regret that, but at the time I was hard up for money, and it's something that I had to do. So continuing again in a clockwise manner, and oh, just to make a little pit stop, that gray and blue bag that you see there right next to the portable stereo, that was actually the carry bag for my PXL 2000 toy video camera. And I've mentioned this before in other videos. Fisher-Price back in the late 80s came out with a toy video camera, which actually shot video on audio cassettes. And you've probably heard about this. It was quite a failure. It really was a bomb in terms of sales, but a lot of avant-garde filmmakers really were attracted to it and really found it very interesting. It recorded a very pixelated black and white image on audio tapes, and that's the carrying bag for it. I do have some videos on this channel about the Fisher-Price PXL 2000. I do encourage you to check that out. Okay, now continuing on over to the right, that little rectangular black box with the white lettering on it, that's a realistic mixer. It's a 4-channel realistic mixer. It was the smallest mixer that Radio Shack sold, and I bought it. I remember I bought it brand new, I think in 1988, and I distinctly remember it sold for $30, but when I bought it, it was on sale for $20. And I have a video on this channel where I did a review of that mixer. Again, please feel free to check that out. What was funny was when I bought that mixer, I really didn't know what it did. I didn't really understand what it was or how it worked, but I bought it anyway, just out of total curiosity. I had a rough idea what a mixer was and what the purpose of a mixer was, but I'd never owned one or used one prior to that, so it was really a brand new thing for me. Continuing to the right, you see that big black thing with the silver knobs and the silver buttons on it. That was the amplifier from my mom's stereo system. My mom had a really nice component stereo system from Sears, and that was the amp. So I basically took the amp out of my mom's stereo system and I would use it for little setups like this. So again, I was running everything into the realistic mixer. You can see all the cables running into the back of the realistic mixer. And then I would run that into the amplifier, and then I would run from the amplifier into the portable stereo for recording. If I remember correctly, I think that amplifier was 60 watts. So not super powerful, but definitely enough for what I was trying to do. On the floor there, you see some tapes, some cassettes that I was using. Basically, it's Maxell UD2, but you can also see a wrapper right there. And I think that was from a TDK SAX cassette that I also used for recording. Continuing on, now we're going still in a clockwise fashion, but right now we're starting to move to the left. And right there in the middle of the picture is a Yamaha drum machine. That was the Yamaha RX-15. I did not own this drum machine. I actually rented it for the weekend. I rented that from a music store that used to be on the west side of the city that I live in. And I can't recall exactly what I paid to rent that, the Yamaha RX-15. I think it might have been, I don't know, $20 or less for the weekend. Again, I had no idea how to operate the thing, just totally diving in and very blindly trying to figure out how to use the thing. I did manage to learn how to program beats into the thing in the very limited time that I had it. And I actually made some recordings that weekend of some random patterns that I had programmed into the RX-15. And I do have a video on here where I feature those actual patterns that I recorded on cassette way back during this weekend in 1991. I remember the RX-15 being a fun drum machine. It was really boxy. It had kind of a stiff sound to it. And even by 1991 standards, I found it sounded kind of dated and kind of flat, but still a very fun drum machine to use. And I definitely got a lot of use out of it that weekend. I don't think I got much sleep that weekend. Okay, so continuing on, you see there's a microphone on the floor. Yeah, that's a realistic microphone, and I think that was actually given to me as a Christmas present. And that microphone, the model number was the Highball 2. It was called the Highball 2. It was a unidirectional microphone. And again, that was yet another item that I ended up selling. I wish I didn't, but I remember setting up a table at a flea market one time. I was hard up for money, and I ended up selling some stuff, and I ended up selling that microphone. It wasn't like a super high-end microphone. I think brand new, it might have been about $30, which back then wasn't cheap. It wasn't a bad microphone. I recall the sound was pretty good. The sound was pretty clear, but nothing fancy. But definitely an efficient microphone. It did its job and it did it well. And for the price point, it seemed to operate fairly decently. And finally, over there on the left is my very first keyboard. That was the Casio CT360. That was the first keyboard I ever owned. I still have it. I do have a video here on my channel where I review the Casio CT360. And yeah, that was given to me as a birthday present, I believe, for my 16th birthday. And this thing was strictly presets. It had all the classic preset sounds like, electric piano and organ and vibes and violin. It had a really cheesy, cheap kind of sound to it. But the one good thing about it, it did have a built-in speaker, so you didn't need an amplifier to use the thing. And I remember way back in the day when I used to have jam sessions with my friends, it was great because I could bring that thing and I didn't need to plug into an amplifier because it had a built-in speaker. I could just plug it in, turn it on, and away I went. But it had a recorder in it. It didn't have like sequencing or anything, but it could do like real-time recording. Yeah, it had a standard headphone out jack. And what's really funny, if you look very, very carefully in the photo, on top of the keyboard, you see there's a little bottle of model paint. Yeah, I used to be into making models when I was in my teens. And the reason why that little bottle of modeling paint is on top of the keyboard is because sometimes I'd want to hold down one key because I'd be busy doing other things. And so I would put the bottle of modeling paint on the key that I would want to hold down. Maybe I would want to do like a one-note drone. So I would put the bottle of modeling paint on that key and it would hold it down for me and I would record that one note. Yeah, really DIY. Definitely DIY. So that's the look at the first photo. So right now I'm going to switch to the second photo, and this was taken as you can see in the timestamp in the bottom right corner. This was September the 11th, 1991. Almost 34 years ago. I think I may have said 35 years ago at the beginning of the video, but 34 years. Wow, where does the time go? So as you can see in this video, it's pretty much the same setup. I'm not going to talk about everything because a lot of the things in this video I already mentioned in the other video. But again, very quickly, starting in the top left corner, we have my Casio CT360. What's really funny is to the right, you can see a little shoebox, and inside the shoebox are some blank Maxell UR normal bias cassettes. Yeah. And next to that, again, we have the realistic 4-channel stereo microphone mixer. To the right of that, we have the amplifier. On top of the amplifier, you can see I have a pencil for taking notes. And if you look very carefully, you can see my little digital wristwatch on top of the amplifier. I think I use that to time the recordings or something like that. Continuing clockwise, again, we have another view of the Yamaha RX-15 drum machine, and there is a little price tag on it. Again, I didn't buy this thing. I only rented it for the weekend. I can't really make out what the price tag says. If this was a digital photo, I could probably zoom way in and have a close look at the price tag, but because this was a film photo taken with an old instant film camera, it's not really that sharp. Continuing to the left of that, we have again the Highball 2 microphone from Realistic. And to the left of that, there's a little shoebox tape recorder. Now again, I used the portable stereo on the far left to do most of the recording. That shoebox recorder I mostly use to play backing tapes, or I would basically make my own little loops. And I would use that little shoebox tape recorder to play the loops. And I would basically run that into the mixer. There was no overdubbing whatsoever. Everything was done live, okay? So I had everything running into the mixer, like the drum machine, the microphone, the loops coming from the shoebox tape recorder, and my Casio keyboard. And everything would be running in, and I would be doing everything completely live and no overdubs whatsoever. I wasn't much of a musician at the time. What I was doing at that time, they weren't really songs per se, they were more like soundscapes. And basically I was really experimenting and really not really sure what I was doing, but just kind of playing and having fun and, you know, not really doing anything too musical. It was more like experimental soundscapes. That's the best way I can describe it. I can't recall the manufacturer of that tape recorder. I think it may have been Sanyo, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken on that. But again, that was something else that I ended up parting with, and I ended up selling it. And finally, as I said before, over there on the far left is the stereo. And you can actually see, I'm noticing right now, first of all, you get a better look at that superwoofer on the bottom front of the portable stereo, but I'm also realizing that the manufacturer of this portable stereo was Lloyd's. Yeah, and I also had another Lloyd's Ghetto Blaster that I received when I was about 11 years old. I still have that somewhere in storage. It was really the main tape recorder that I really cut my teeth on. I'd love to dig that out sometime and do a video about it. Hopefully I'll be able to do that sometime down the road. So that is a look at my 1991 bedroom studio. I hope you enjoyed this time machine back to a simpler time and a very primitive time. And you know, it's funny because we all have to get our start somewhere, and I love talking to people and meeting other people who are, you know, bedroom studio enthusiasts, and I love hearing stories about their early setups and what their early home recording setups looked like and the kind of gear that they used. So I hope you enjoyed this little look back. Thank you for watching. I hope you can join us again next time. Please feel free to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and as always, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. It's always greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.